It's Real Woman on Capital FM 92.9 Abuja, the program where we talk about issues concerning women, the problem they face, and of course, proffer possible solution to those issues. I'm Fedora Patrick. I have another real woman with me in the studio.
I'm Abu Eileen.
Today we will be looking at sexual and gender-based violence against women. This is an act committed against a person's will, and it's usually based on gender principles and by someone stronger in power. Gone are those days in Nigeria where majority of sexual violence cases go unreported. This is no longer the case today because social media has brought the issue wide into the open.
Yeah, that's true. Social media has brought light into sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria especially.
You know, recently I read on Facebook where a man slept with his 2-year-old daughter, claiming he thought is the wife.
Wow. That's real sad.
That's so sad. And,
indeed.
And these things happen every day, and we hear a lot of cases about that. I also heard about a man who said he's not going to pay his daughter's school fees except he sleeps with her. Do you get what is actually happening?
That's really absurd. It's really absurd.
Well, so many questions to be asked, but not to worry. We'll have a special guest in the studio who will talk about these issues with us in details. She is Mrs. Kemi Okenyodo, the Executive Director, Partners West Africa, Nigeria. You're welcome to the program.
Hello, good afternoon.
Madam, we've been talking about sexual and gender-based violence. What is it all about?
Well, like you said earlier, sexual gender-based violence is violence perpetrated against a particular particular gender. And in this case, we're looking at women and the girl child. And it could be, there are different forms of sexual gender-based violence. It could come in the form of rape. It could come in the form of assault. It could come in the form of sexual harassment. It could come in the form of defilement. Defilement when we're talking about minors now, so it has different, there are different faces to sexual gender-based violence. For the boys, it could come in the form of sodomy. So it's not restricted to women and girls. It's also, you can also find a face of sexual gender-based violence with the boy child.
Okay, when you say for the boy child, it comes in the form of sodomy, what do you mean?
That's, I think under the criminal code, they'll call it in unnatural knowledge, carnal knowledge of the victim. So, you know what that means.
Okay, so I think when you say carnal knowledge, I think it's done against the minors, because an adult, you can't say you did that against.
Oh no, just as you can rape an adult female.
Okay.
That's the same way most likely you could rape an adult male.
Oh.
Yes,
okay.
because the consent, the most important thing is that it's not it's not consensual, and consent could be by force or by duress.
Okay, thank you for that, Mrs. Kemi. We will come back to the discussion shortly, but before then, I'll also open the line for you to make a contribution. Before then, we have two ladies who had experiences on sexual and gender-based violence waiting to share their story with us. Listen.
I've been a victim of gender-based violence by a police officer and also a guy. The experience wasn't really good. Most times it's traumatizing. That most times when I look at my face as a girl, I see a scar that I have that can't be wiped away. No matter what it's like, no matter how many makeups I put on my face, I always see that scar. That scar brings me back to what really happened, how I got the scars on my face. You see one in my mouth, this one, is by a guy. You see one here, is by a police officer. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there like me that are not willing to speak up, that they can't even do anything. And even when they try to speak up, High and Mighty comes up and everything is gone, swept under the carpet. I really look forward to see a Nigeria where victims of this violence can actually achieve justice, irrespective of who is involved, either police officer neither son of the high and mighty and all that. So I want us to start working on our existing policies. I know there are policies that are put in place that is supposed to guide and protect us, and I really wish we can start working on those policies, because first of all, when things happen, I know we have that right as citizens of Nigeria for our lives to be protected. But the found out that those things are not done, nothing at all. Rather, when things happen, the first of all tag you that word, are you not a prostitute? Like the one I had with the police.
I came back from work, helping out to get something for myself. I thought I had egg in the house, so I've already changed up and I had to wear a shirt. They let me get egg outside. So I was arrested by a group of police, and I was trying to tell them, okay, look at my hand, I'm with my money to buy, or if you people can follow me to my house, you will see that my clothes, that I dropped my handbag, everything, my Indomie, I'm just coming back from work, and it was about after 7 p.m. So they didn't want to hear. Before you know, I was in the police station, and everybody in the station at the counter were like, we will not stay one place, all those stuff. And I was trying to tell them, no, I come back from work, I want to pick something and eat, and I was hungry. At the end of the day, there was a slap, even while they picked me, where I was inside their car. There was a lot of slap from my face, hits me, the one that tracks my hair, my clothes, almost to tear my clothes that I'm wearing short. So before you know, I left the station because I couldn't have access to call anyone. I was not with my phone. And even when I was there that night, some police were telling me, the one that resumed night duty, that I can actually do a transfer to their accounts. They will know what to tell their DPO, all those stuff. I'm like, I don't have my phone yet. The next
real woman.
No, it's so sad that some of the uniformed men who are supposed to protect us are also involved in the act.
Well, for me, the story they just relayed now, I think what I really saw is the dent that's caused on the individuals, especially when you talk about the physical and emotional trauma.
Exactly.
These people that face gender-based violence have to go through. It's really traumatic. I would like to ask a question. I don't know, Ma, please. How do you now combat this thing in the society?
Well, I think first is the realization that it is there, and that it is not. It's a multi-approach. It's a multi-sector approach that would work in addressing issues of sexual gender-based violence. There's an element of enlightenment, because from the story we heard, there's the issue of stereotyping.
Okay.
And stereotyping, basically, and if we talk of stereotyping, you can link stereotyping even to the issue of discrimination. So if you do not look like this, it means that you are something else, and that is actually very wrong. If we go first on our laws, that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria guarantees all of us the right to life and right to dignity of persons. And the right to dignity of persons should underpin some of the response to some of these issues. Then beyond stereotyping, is also closely linked to stereotyping, is you ask yourself the locations and if you do a profiling of the victims, socioeconomic status, for number one, will be one thing that I would raise. Who are the people that usually come? What group of people are usually victims of this abuse?
Yes, because one of the ladies said she just came out from work, stepping out to get something, and she got arrested. So when you talk about location,
yes, because when you start to stereotype, that's the challenge with stereotyping. When you start to stereotype, you are unduly, making opening a can of worms, or should I say opening the space, and everybody and anybody can become a victim. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So you step out of your house around 7, you step out of your house around 8. Who is the person that has the right to say that if you're out of the house at a particular time that you're not supposed to be? Do you understand? There's no curfew that we know is in place in the city.
There's no law that says
That there's no
once
law
it's
that
7 you don't step
that
out.
says you cannot step
Especially
out.
for the women, because most
Especially
times
for
men
the
step out say even later than
Especially-
and but they don't get arrested.
Men, women, boys, girls. Do you understand? It's a free society. And you cannot, one person or a group of individuals cannot enforce their own belief or their own culture or their own school of thought on another. Because when your own rights ends, that's where my right begins. And if you're talking public safety, the public safety element of it should be enlightenment. It should be sensitization, saying that, okay, this maybe we, under the guise of saying you want to keep us free, because I've heard that we're trying to keep we're also trying to protect them. If you're trying to protect us, so to say, that doesn't come with arrest and doesn't come with harassment.
Oh, okay, hold on to that. So the phone lines are open for you to make your contributions. Call these numbers 0909 676 2678, or better still 0705 353 8929. Go ahead, madam.
I was going to draw an analogy between what we're seeing with sexual gender-based violence and extrajudicial killings. At a point, there was a time in this country that extrajudicial killings seemed arguable. That, because he's an armed robber and the justice system is weak, so you could inflict jungle justice. But then what you find was that innocent people were getting caught in the trap. Yeah? And similar is what you would find with this approach to the society, and I'll say government having a relaxed approach and either knowingly or unknowingly enabling environment that makes perpetrating sexual gender-based violence a norm.
Oh, okay. I know there's been movement globally to end sexual and gender-based violence, but it seems not adequate. What do you think is the problem?
Well, I think I've said it earlier. It's not one size fits all. We look at the context and then we look at how we're going to address it. Okay. So there are different contexts within where sexual gender-based violence is being perpetrated. So for example, this example that we listened to has an element of the angle of state. And the state apparatus, state agencies being used as instruments to perpetrate sexual gender-based violence.
And those are the people who are supposed to protect.
Those are the people who are supposed to protect. So on whatever reason, questions we ask is, were these officers identified? If they were identified, what has become of them? Was there any disciplinary process being put in place? Beyond the disciplinary process, which is internal and it's administrative, a crime has been committed. You raped a young lady. Has the person been arrested and being prosecuted within the criminal justice system? That's one element of it. Another element of it, when you were making commentary, is the trend we're seeing of defilement of minors, right? Yeah. And in that case also, you're looking at the criminal justice system. We're looking at what's the prosecution, what's the process there. Recently, a colleague of mine was saying that the burden of proof on rape, for example, needs to be reviewed. Because if you look at the burden of proof to prove rape for a minor, the corroboration from a minor would not be there. So what's the element of forensic?
Yeah, because there's this case of a 3-year-old girl who was raped. You know, when she reported the case, her mom, of course, reported the case to the police. She had to pay to open the file. She had to pay for her own medical test, for the victim, and also for the offender, and as well she had to pay for all the hearings, the lawyers that had to go to court with them. And so you see, when you're talking about this for minors, like you mentioned, making it all these processes, I think that they get tired of. You know, that's why most people don't even come to report when issues like this come up.
Yeah, I mean, these processes are standard processes because it helps to gather evidence which needs to be tendered in court, right? However, my school of thought is this, that a breakdown of our system of one part of the system affects the other. So you don't have, we can't boast of standard medical facilities that we can use, that is in place, that could also be used by law enforcement. So a standard hospital that you can get into that have rape kits that can swap and gather the evidence that needs to be gathered, and then a laboratory that would now work on the analysis of what has been gathered from the victim or from the site, and then all that is put together for the DPP to go to court, right? Yeah. Where you have a system where our health section is not functioning effectively.
Considering all this you just said now, I think for me, my own school of thought is why most people don't want to get more involved in reporting and following through to get justice delivered to them. It's because of the trauma they have to go through. All these processes, I think they are too enormous for somebody to go through.
For a victim.
For a victim, it causes trauma on them.
No, it's not one or the other. If you're going to go through the criminal justice system, it's not hearsay. It's not he said, she said.
Okay.
Whatever is being alleged must be corroborated by evidence. Okay. Right. So when you say trauma, it also comes with the training of the staff that would deal with the victims. That's why I said it's not, we can't, a lot of times we're looking at addressing these issues in isolation, right? Yeah. But if you have well-trained medical personnel that have the patient at the center, at the core of delivering service, it is immaterial who is the patient, right? You just have a higher level of responsibility because this is a traumatic situation and it is a minor, right? But can we honestly say that we have medical facilities and medical personnel that are in government hospitals, because that's where you would have the reduced cost, that can provide these services
for the victims? Well, thank you, Mrs. Kemi. The phone lines are open for you to make your contributions. The numbers are 0909 676 2678. Or better still, okay, we'll have a call. Or better still, call us on 0705 353 8929. There's a plan by the government to open a register and expose sex offenders in Nigeria. How would that help the victims and the society to overcome the problem of gender violence?
The whole idea behind sexual offenders register is to have some documentation, and we put faces to perpetrators of sexual offenses in the country. As it is now, someone can perpetrate an offense.
Okay, we'll have a call coming in. Hold on. Hello, good afternoon. Okay, we lost that call. Go ahead.
Right now we have situations where people can be perpetrators. You perpetrate a crime, particularly maybe you rape a minor in Mpape, and because it became a public issue within that community, the person moves away and starts.
We'll have a call. Hold on, madam. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Your name and where you're calling from?
Matthew.
Matthew, calling from where?
Yeah.
Okay, your contribution, Matthew.
Yeah. I just want to. You said in your introduction that a man raped a 2-year-old.
Okay, that's a story on Facebook.
Oh, Facebook, okay. Does that type of man deserve to live? Because we are preaching against gender justice. Listen, this country is full of too many hard criminals. They should be sent away so that we know how many are clean that are alive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matthew, for that. Madam, go ahead.
So the documentation helps us to identify. And I mean, in some advanced jurisdictions, what usually happens is if you want to employ maybe schools, you're recruiting teachers, they run the details of their people they're investing or they're looking at recruiting through the sexual offences registers. You want to recruit house helps. You want to recruit drivers. They run
through that who they are recruiting.
To know who you are recruiting. So I mean, one of the steps, it's a good step. We're launching the sexual offenders register. One other step would be to have it in the cloud. So you have it physically, right? Yeah, okay. But then it ought to be accessible and open, so
for everyone to know.
People can, because it doesn't make sense if it's just it becomes one such register that is just domicile in the Ministry of Women Affairs or domicile in the Ministry of Justice or domicile with the police.
Okay, so as individuals, how can we help to prevent or end sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria? Because this could happen to anybody and it can happen anywhere.
When you say Nigeria, a lot of times you make it look like it's such a huge task. The first thing is look at your own space. Within your own small space, what are you putting in place? So for example, within my organization, it's a zero tolerance. And you're looking at zero tolerance to sexual gender-based violence, and you itemize it. It's an official policy. To an official policy that is even extended to your private space. So if anybody within your private space reports you in the office, you can lose your job for it.
Oh, thank you so much, Mrs. Kemi. Well, I think if more men join in the movement, it will go a long way to overcome the problem of sexual violence and gender-based violence.
Yeah, that's true. And also, if we tend to shun stigmatization and report more cases, learn to report cases.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Kemi. It's been a wonderful time discussing with you. Thanks for coming on the program.
You're welcome.
Thanks to my listeners for staying tuned, and to my caller, Matthew, thanks for your contribution. Thank you to my able assistant, Onyinye Agiriga. Thank you so much for assisting me here in the studio. My supervisor has been Olivia Anibo. Do join us again next week, Tuesday, on the program Real Woman on Capital FM Abuja. I am Fedora Patrick.
I'm Eileen Abu.
Bye.